People who gain access to the internet, about one person gets lifted out of poverty and about one new job gets created. Now, there are still 1 billion people in India who we need to connect to the internet. And connecting them represents one of the greatest opportunities available to humanity today. So I'm deeply appreciative of Prime Minister Modi's commitment to Digital India to make this enormous opportunity a reality for all Indians. And I'm personally also impressed by the example Prime Minister Modi has set of using the internet and social media to communicate directly with Indian citizens. Whether spreading messages of peace or campaigning for women's rights or children's development or Digital India, it's fitting that the leader of the world's largest democracy is also setting the example for all world leaders for how they should connect with their citizens in the future. When everyone can make their voices heard online, that's when we can have meaningful conversations about the future. And that's how society can come together and achieve these shared goals. So, you know, the last time that a Prime Minister of India visited California was in 1982. And a lot has changed since then. Today, India is a global leader. Indian businesses and culture are transforming people's lives around the world. And for India to keep making progress, India needs to be a leader online. And Prime Minister Modi, you are an example of what that looks like. So I'm excited to hear today about how you see these goals and why the world should be optimistic about the future of India. Thank you and welcome to Facebook.
Thank you. Thank you. मार्क, मैं आपका बहुत आभारी हूँ।
Mark, thank you very much.
आज मुझे फेसबुक के हेडक्वार्टर पे आकर के
I'm really happy that I've been able to come
दुनिया
today
जिसके
to
साथ जुड़ी
Facebook's
है,
headquarters.
उनके साथ मुझे आज
The people who are connecting the
रूबरू
world,
में
I'm having the
जुड़ने का अवसर
opportunity
मिला
to
है।
connect with you today.
विज्ञान और अध्यात्म का नाता
Science and technology,
हो भी सकता है।
it's something that
मार्क ने आज न बताया होता
if Mark hadn't mentioned this today, probably the world wouldn't have come to know about it.
अमेरिका से एक नौजवान कुछ करने के सपने देखता है।
Many American youth have dreams of doing something,
और विज्ञान की दुनिया में जिसने
and those who are successful in the world of science and technology,
उसे कहते हैं कुछ भी करने से पहले हिंदुस्तान जाओ।
it's astonishing that their gurus would tell them to come to India before they do anything else, to go to a temple there
वहाँ जाकर के तुम अपनी
and
बात बताओ,
and
तुम्हें रास्ता मिल।
think about what you want to do and you'll find the way.
ये बात अपने आप में एक
I think this is really something quite incredible.
दुनिया के लोगों के लिए आज मार्क आपकी बात सुनकर के बहुत बड़ा
I
आश्चर्य
think people all across the world would be pretty surprised to hear what you said today, Mark.
कि
And I
जो प्रेरणा आप
hope that the inspiration
जिस प्रेरणा
that you got
प्रारंभ किया है,
and the inspiration that helped you to start what you started,
ये सिर्फ
I hope that will not just be
बैंक अकाउंट को बढ़ा,
something to enhance your company's
ये
bank balance.
दुनिया के करोड़ों करोड़
I hope
आवाज बन
that you will be the voice of millions and billions of people all over the world.
एस्पिरेशंस की
I hope you will be able to become a medium for the hopes and aspirations of millions and billions all over the world.
सामान्य मानवी की आशा आकांक्षाओं की
And I hope that the aspirations that people have all over the world, I hope this will keep that flame alive. And in that spirit, I salute your spirit, I salute what you have done, and I thank you for it.
आपने सवाल पूछा
You did ask the question,
कि लोग भारत के प्रति
why, I mean,
बड़ी आशा भरी नजर
that there is a lot of optimism when people talk about India, and what do I feel about that?
जब आप भारत आए,
So when you
आप किसी
came to India,
बड़ी आशा आशा भरी नजर
You went to a temple in India with a lot of hopes.
कहाँ से कहाँ
And look from where to where you've reached.
आपका अनुभव कहता है
So your experience
जो भाषा
shows that
आशाएं अपेक्षाएं हैं
those who
पूरा करने का
come to India with certain hopes and aspirations, there is something that will help you complete that, to meet those hopes and aspirations, and that's your experience is showing you that.
सबसे बड़ा लोकतंत्र
India is the world's biggest democracy, and if you look at that from an economic perspective, now whether it's the World Bank, IMF,
दुनिया की सारी
or the world's rating agencies,
एक स्वर से सब लोग कह रहे हैं
all of them are saying in unison
बड़े देशों
that among the big economies in the world today, India is one of the fast-growing economies in the world today.
आज हम $8 trillion इकोनॉमी
We are an $8 trillion economy today,
मेरा ड्रीम है
and my dream
$20 trillion
is to become a $20 trillion economy.
और उस काम को करना है मुझे
And I
तीन
need to focus on three aspects if I have to achieve that vision. One is the agricultural sector, the service sector, and the manufacturing sector.
आप वो लोग दुनिया से जुड़े हुए हैं, जिनका सबसे बड़ा
You
कंट्रीब्यूशन
are associated with the service sector,
और मैं सर्विस सेक्टर की ताकत
and I have seen that the service sector is an extremely powerful sector. And if we look at tourism alone, just tourism,
भारत के पास टूरिज्म के क्षेत्र में
India has such a huge potential in the field of tourism. It has a huge potential for job creation. And
विश्व
if we
निकट
look at the technology that we have today, which has brought the world so close together, it has created a kind of feeling of oneness. And obviously, if tourism grows, there will be more jobs in the tourism sector, in the service sector.
बड़ी ताकत बनती
And I think that really can lead to a lot of strength.
है कि पिछले साल सवा साल
In the last 1 to 1.5 years,
नजरिया बढ़ा
the view that people have of India, I think if you
किसी विदेश
ask any Indian or if you speak to somebody from abroad,
गर्व के भाव से देखता है
generally most people are very proud when they look at India, when they speak of India. It's amazing how quickly perceptions about India have changed in such a short period of time. And it's
महीने में सबसे बड़ा काम हमारा
in the last 15 years, I think one of the major things that we have done is to restore that lost confidence that people in India, that people had. We've brought in a new level of confidence,
वही चीजों में
and
बदलाव करते हैं
I believe that that is what brings about change.
पेशेंट भी
A patient in the intensive care station of a hospital, when he knows that my doctor has come, will be looked after, he gains a new confidence that he will get well.
वाला पेशेंट भी बाहर आ जाता है
And even a patient in the intensive care unit can come out.
All right. So we have the first question from the thread. We received more than 40,000 comments and questions on our Facebook post about this town hall. So that's pretty incredible engagement. And several people have flown in today to ask their questions. But before we call them up, I actually am going to start with one for you. You were one of the early adopters of the internet and social media and Facebook. And did you at that point think that social media and the internet would become an important tool for governing and citizen engagement in foreign policy?
जब मैंने सोशल मीडिया को अपनाया
When I took to social media, even I actually didn't know that I would become a chief minister at some point, I would become a prime minister at some point.
तो मैंने ये तो सोचा नहीं था
So I never ever did think that social media would actually be useful for governance.
तो एक टेक्नोलॉजी
When
क्यूरियोसिटी रहती
I took up and I got onto social media, it was basically because I was curious about technology. And I saw that I'd been trying to understand the world through books, but I think it's a part of human nature that instead of going on to textbooks, if you have a guide, it's far easier.
और गाइड से भी अगर कोई
And in fact, if instead of a guide, if somebody can give you pretty sure suggestions of what to do, it's even better.
सोशल मीडिया ने ये काम किया
And for me, that's what social media actually did.
कम समय में 2-4 शब्दों से
Within a very short span of time, within a few words, I used to get what I wanted to know. And the other advantage that I had is that I'm not very educated.
भाग्य नहीं
I wasn't fortunate enough to be able to get a lot of knowledge, but I
सोशल मीडिया ने
was able to make up for that through social media. And that is how my world used to move.
मेरी थॉट प्रोसेस
And it really brought about a big change in my way of thinking.
आसपास की दुनिया से ही सोचता था एक पूरे विश्व के दायरे
I
तक
used to
छूने का मुझे अवसर
think about things which were initially close to me, and I kept now expanding my horizons, kept broadening them, and as I kept doing that,
मैं जैसा हूँ वैसा
the world too started accepting me for what I am.
इंसान के लिए सबसे
And I think the most important thing for any individual
जैसे
is that
जब दुनिया आपको स्वीकार करती है
you are accepted for what you are. If the world accepts you, I think that is something which really makes you feel happy and satisfied.
लोग कहते हैं यहाँ
Because otherwise, people say you're good, but if you were that, you would be better. But you're fine. But if you're on social media, it would be a little better.
आप जैसे हैं वैसे दुनिया स्वीकार करती
But when the world accepts you for what you are, I think that is something really wonderful. And I think that also helps you to move ahead, to progress.
है वो इस दायरे को बढ़ाने वाला नहीं
So for me,
जब मैं
that was something that really shaped my experience of social media. And when I came into government, all these doors opened for me.
सरकार का एक प्रॉब्लम होता है
I saw that one of the problems that governments have
जनता के बीच
is that there is a big gap between the government and the people.
और जब पता चलता है तब
And sometimes 5 years go by, then you have the next elections, and then you come to know that we were just not connected with the people.
सोशल मीडिया के कारण डेली
So with social media, you have daily bonding.
बात कर रहा हूँ अभी
So I'm talking to you, you have daily voting. So, right now, as we speak, people are voting that what is Modi saying, is that good or bad?
आज सोशल मीडिया की ताकत है
So the strength of social media today
वो गलत
is that it can tell governments where they're going wrong. It can stop them from moving in the wrong direction. It can make them aware and worried about going in the wrong direction, and gives them an opportunity to do a course correction. You used to have elections after every 5 years, but now we have it after every 5 minutes. So I think this is a huge strength of democracy.
सभी राजनेताओं से दुनिया के
And I think I would say to leaders all over the world that you're not going to gain by running away from social media. You must join it, try and join it.
अच्छी सरकार तब चलती है
You will be able to have a good government
चैनल
if you have many channels of information.
और रियल टाइम इंफॉर्मेशन मिलती है
And you need real-time information.
सरकारों के पास पहले मैकेनिज्म
Earlier, governments had mechanisms, but those mechanisms were quite slow.
के बाद जब न्यूज़पेपर आता था
Sometimes, we used to get the news after 24 hours when we get the newspaper that something has happened. But now we can come to know almost instantly when something happens in any corner of the world. So this real-time information is a huge source.
गवर्नमेंट जागरूक है,
And if a government is active, it's aware, it's alert, then it can use this real-time information to take corrective measures, to use that to influence their policy framework, and it can also help them speed up their work. And when I look at it from that perspective, I think social media has played a very big role as far as government is concerned. Now, you've also asked me about diplomacy.
पहले क्या होता?
Now, what was diplomacy earlier? You used to have capitals of countries that were in touch with one another. Like, for instance, Delhi was in touch with Washington or with Tokyo.
नेताओं से जुड़ते थे.
We used to have leaders who were in touch with each other. But now, when you have social media, you have the citizens of countries who are connected to one another.
चाइना में सोशल मीडिया का अलग.
In China, of course, social media has a different structure. So in China,
मैं भी वहाँ भी एक्टिव हूँ.
I'm active there as well. I'm active on their social media too.
और मैं वहाँ चाइनीज लैंग्वेज में कम्युनिकेट करता हूँ.
And I communicate in Chinese.
आपको हैरानी होगी.
I think you'll be surprised to know
वीवो पर
that in China on Weibo,
जन्मदिन की बधाई दी.
I congratulated their prime minister on his birthday. And for Chinese citizens, it was the news that it was their prime minister's birthday.
और वो इतना वायरल हुआ.
And it just went viral. It went viral all across China. And I think nobody would ever have imagined that this is what diplomacy is going to look like. I don't think anyone ever thought that.
मैंने इजराइल के प्राइम मिनिस्टर को उनका एक फेस्टिवल होता है.
There is a festival in Israel.
फेस्टिवल
And
हिब्रू भाषा में
in Hebrew, I sent congratulations to their prime minister. And that also went viral.
सबसे बड़ी पंजाब तब आई जब उन्होंने मुझे.
But the best was when he sent me the thanks in Hindi.
अब देखिए ये डिप्लोमेसी.
So look at that. This is a completely new face of diplomacy. It's directly linking with the people.
एक परिवार.
And perhaps if the world is a family,
ये सोशल मीडिया.
this is something that social media is a catalyst in promoting. And I think social media is really playing an enormous role here.
One of the reasons why so many of us here at Facebook admire your leadership so much is that we deeply agree in our mission with so much of what you just said. So thank you for that. Our next question is from Veer Kashyap. Veer, why don't you tell us where you're from?
Morning, Prime Minister Modi and Mark. Thanks for having us here. I live in Bangalore right now, and I moved to India 8 years ago, and co-founded babajob.com because I saw a great promise to be able to impact India's digital revolution and enable millions of people throughout the country to get better jobs using the internet. I always felt like, much like governments in the past have had to invest in physical infrastructure, like building roads and railroads. In this day and age, I feel like governments, one of the main roles they should be playing is to invest in the digital infrastructure, which will allow its citizens to get connected and be able to be productive citizens of the global society. So, Prime Minister, my question to you is, what investments is your government going to make to enable the next 800 to 1 billion people in India to get connected?
वीर, मैं आपका बहुत आभारी हूँ कि आपने
Thank you very much, Veer,
भारत आकर के
for coming
बजवाने के लिए
to India and trying to making it in India.
वीर से प्रेरणा लेकर के
I think,
यहाँ के और भी
I hope more people will be inspired by Veer to come to India.
ये बात सही है कि भारत ने दो
It's true
बातों पर
that in India we'll have to focus on two things equally.
physical infrastructure.
One, of course, is the physical infrastructure.
नहीं सकते क्योंकि
And that's something that is something we really will have to do because that's a requirement in our country.
डिजिटल इंफ्रास्ट्रक्चर
And the other is the digital infrastructure.
पहले ये काम करूं फिर दूसरा करूं फिर
I think there's no point in saying that, first I'll do this and then I'll do the next thing and then I'll do the next thing. And we'll waste a lot of time in doing that. We need to approach and tackle all of these simultaneously.
आज के 21
My conviction really is that now in the 21st century,
उतना ही
we see that the importance that highways have had is, the same kind of importance is going to be that for highways.
भारत में 600,000
In India, we have 600,000 villages.
ये नंबर ही इतना बड़ा है कि
That's such a huge
लोगों को वहीं से डर
number that people just get scared listening to that number.
और करीब 2.5 लाख पंचायतें
And we have about 250 local governments,
कोशिश है
local bodies.
कि नेक्स्ट 5 ईयर में
And what I hope is that in the next 5 years, we will be able to link all these villages through a optical fiber network.
जो लोग भारत से परिचित हैं और
All those of you who are familiar with India, and in fact, if you look all over the world, you'll see that civilizations have generally tended to develop, and they've settled along rivers. We've had cities coming up along rivers, but times have changed now.
शहर वहाँ बसने लगे
Cities then shifted to highways. And I think in the future, we will find that cities are going to be situated along networks of optical fibers. And that's something that we need to keep in mind. We need to keep this in mind for the future.
टेक्नोलॉजी को बहुत बड़ी मात्रा में
So in our system of governance, we are placing a lot of priority on technology.
इफेक्टिव गवर्नेंस करना है
It's important for us to have effective governance, to have easy governance,
इकोनॉमिकल गवर्नेंस
and economic governance. And I think for all these things, technology is very important. So it's a compulsion for me and for my government that we have
इंफ्रास्ट्रक्चर बल हो
a proper digital infrastructure. And as far as the funding is concerned,
दुनिया में पैसों की
I don't think there is really any lack of funds, of capital in the world. There are many countries who don't even know where to invest their money. So I'm giving them the address. Here's the place.
All right. Our next question is from T.S. Khurana, who actually works here at Facebook. So T.S., where are you from?